would be curious. I do it if it was possible.
They stole my gavel, so I'm going to call me into order with a knock of my knuckles. But good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 7, 2019 meeting of Middletown City Council. Please stand and join me in a moment of meditation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Come on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vittori.
Here.
Mr. Bohannon.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Mulligan.
Here.
Mayor Mulligan.
Here. All right, our first order of business. Do we have anyone from the Postal Service here this evening? Yeah, proclamation. Oh, perfect. Okay, all right. Okay, you're hiding up there. Okay, come on down. Welcome. You want to see Sarah? Yes. All right, thank you for coming down. No, it's great to be able to recognize the work of the letter carriers here for the National Association of Letter Carriers Food Drive Day and here in May, coming up this Saturday. So we have a proclamation to present to recognize their efforts and raise awareness for it. Whereas the National Association of Letter Carriers has designated the day of May 11, 2019 as the 27th annual Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive Day. And whereas the NALC Food Drive collected 28,395 pounds of food in Butler County in 2018 and over 1.3 million pounds since 1995, serving thousands of families who need this nourishing food through Shared Harvest Food Bank's network of food pantries. And whereas the AFL-CIO, Shared Harvest Food Bank, Feeding America, and countless community volunteers will lend assistance to this year's charitable endeavor with the United States Postal Service supporting this drive. Now, therefore, I, Lawrence Mulligan, Mayor of the City of Middletown, and counties of Butler and Warren, to assist public awareness of this nationwide endeavor not to care for our own, to do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 11, 2019, as National Association of Letter Carriers Food Drive Day. And further, on behalf of all municipal officials and administration, do request that all citizens of our community support the efforts of this national annual drive by placing non-perishable food by their mailboxes on Saturday, May 11th, 2019, to help meet the needs of our neighbors here locally. Congratulations. Would you like to offer a few words about the program?
Thank you again for the opportunity to talk about this. Great. It's one of our largest fundraisers that we do in Butler County, and Middletown is our second largest amount of pounds that we receive each year. So I appreciate all of the help that the community has done in the past and look forward to another successful year.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate your work on that effort. I apologize, Mr. Atkins, I skipped over your city manager reports.
Because I haven't been here for 2
Yeah, I always forget about you, I guess.
It's easy to go over.
Glad to have you back.
Several things this evening, Your Honor. First off, I would like to thank council and staff for their patience. Over a 6-week period, I was out with bronchitis and then the flu and then pneumonia, and I'm finally back to about 98%, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I missed 2 meetings and hacked my way through a third one and probably added 10 minutes to the meeting with coughing. But I'm grateful and I'm back and I'm in good shape, and so I just want to say thank you. Number 2, on your agenda tonight for number 3 is Resolution 2019-17, which establishes a small recreation program for the summer, primarily with the Community Building Institute and the Y. We have been approached by a camp that's going to be held at Baraka Church this July, put on by the people that own Chick-fil-A. We had some questions from council on that, which I have not fully been able to answer at this point. However, those people will be in town tomorrow night from 6 to 8 o'clock at Baraka. Pastor Lamar called me up and suggested I stop by and be able to sit down with them together where I could get those questions answered. So if that vets out and all of our questions are answered, I may ask you to take the $30,000 that's in the resolution that you have before you tonight. I may change that to 35, add in the Chick-fil-A camp as part of the summer recreation, but I will keep you abreast of the information that I receive after I do that tomorrow night. The Housing Committee has now a draft of the housing policy, which we will be taking up on Thursday night. In addition to that, we have met last week with the Oakland, Dan and Dan with the Oakland project. They have made substantial progress on that neighborhood, and staff would like to request that council consider a 5 o'clock workshop on May 21st, if that would work with everybody's schedule, to allow them to give us an update. They blew me away when they came in last week with the progress they've made. But we're getting to a place where if we're going to move forward, there's going to be money on the city side to help start the project and get it going. So we need to give you an update, let you see what we're working on, make sure everybody's in the right, okay with where we're headed. So will that work for everybody at 5 o'clock? We'll plan on starting, I'll get with Amy. My guess is we'll start the meeting at 5:45. But I'd like to have them come, and they've got some really nice things to show us. Number 4, the mayor and I met, and a couple staff members met with the census folks yesterday, getting ready for the 2020 census. Part of that will be a complete count committee that the city will form. Mayor, I think you said you had mentioned that at a prior council meeting, which I probably was not at. And I had told the mayor yesterday that as many things as I've been in touch with the city, when the last census came here, I was probably still a city prosecutor. So I've had no experience with this piece of it, but I've worked with Amy. She's got a folder on what we did before. They've got some ideas from the census as to who they would like on that committee. My understanding is that the mayor had asked each of you if you'd had anybody that you'd like to recommend for that committee. So we will ask if in the next week or so you could get those names in. I will get up to speed on what we did last time. One thing that they had told us had changed from last time is of course, social media and all the expansion of the internet. And so what was done much more by hand probably 10 years ago will be done much more with our Bob Evans billboard and my blog and all of our social media and things like that. So we will get up to speed on that. I will either bring that at the May 21st meeting or the first June meeting. The census folks have said they would like to set up training for that committee sometime in June. So as I get myself organized and we get the committee together and make sure council's comfortable with it, we'll then get back to the census and get that set up for training so that we get good counts for the next census. Also, we have been working, the fire department's been working quite a bit for the last 2 or 3 years, and we're probably at a place where at the second June meeting, we may ask you for another workshop to talk about our fire stations. They started about 2 or 3 years ago with a new strategic plan for the Division of Fire. The last year, they have been working on staffing for Middletown as it currently is and as we expect it to be. And then now station locations. If you were, our stations are predominantly on the west side. If you were to lay out the stations, ideally, where would they be? And so the idea would be then, we're probably going to go on a road trip that day. If that's okay with council, we're probably going to get the bus, and I need you to see the condition of your fire stations. And the answer is they're not great. They're 50 years old, and we've got some ability to start making some plans for future fire stations, where they would be, how much they would cost, and we want to show you where we are now. And then I've asked Chief Lawley to look around the area for like a $3 million fire station that's been built in the last 2 or 3 years, so that you can see the difference between where we're operating now and a modern fire station. When we got the report back, there were, I'm not a fireman, but the basic was our old fire stations are laid out the way we used to fight fires. The new fire stations are laid out in a different floor plan, and it makes it quicker and easier to get out, but we cannot accommodate those in our current configuration. So we'll show you those. We'd like you to actually see those up front, and so that when we start talking about it over the next couple of years, you have some idea, context of what we're talking about. So we will probably schedule that for the second June meeting. The last thing I have this evening is we had received a email and information from the Dayton film people. If you're aware, there's been the Ohio House has proposed to discontinue the Ohio Film Tax Credit Program. The Film Dayton is putting together a press conference at 5:45 in about 6 minutes. And they have asked supporters for a request for action. If you'd asked us 6 months ago, it might not have been as relevant, but now that we've got Hillbilly Elegy looking here to do some filming in the area, they have asked us to send a letter to Mike DeWine and the President of the Senate. I have a draft of the suggested letter. And my question is, do we want to do anything more? Do we want to be actively involved? I could send that letter under my name. We could send it, under the mayor's name. We could let it continue and just talk to our representatives. We could do anything at all. But we've been asked by Film Dayton to submit a letter, and I said I would at least pass it along and ask what we thought we wanted to do at this point.
Any general indications from council on
I'm supportive
supporting
of
that?
the letter.
Send a letter, let the mayor sign it.
The mayor's,
So,
mayor, I can be under my name because I can sign it and get it out, or I can track the mayor down.
yeah, you're welcome to use my electronic signature, something like that if you want to, or
So-
sign it, or go from both of us.
We okay putting that on the letterhead? And I'll send a copy of the letter to everybody, so it's pretty straightforward. Please don't eliminate it. It's good for us because we have people coming to film. So, and that's what I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Just one follow-up on the complete count for Ms. Skank. Maybe you could circulate the list of committee members from 10 years ago. I thought about that, but I forgot to send the email, so that might be helpful in looking at names for new appointees, things like that.
I'll be glad to.
And some may want to serve again. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Atkins? Okay, with that, we have a few reports. I don't see Ms. Smith from Central Connections. Monica's not out there, is she? Okay. Well, then I'll invite Jerry Lewis down from Movies in the Park, so. Good evening.
Good evening. This is the first time I've ever been up here. My name is Jerry Lewis. I live at 4962 Trenton Franklin Road here in Middletown. I've been here 8 years and kind of hit the ground running when Scott and I got married on just forming different community building activities. And one of the things is Movies in the Park. I have enough for everybody if you all want one. Pass it around if you want. This is our 4th year. Started it with as an initiative with Karen Maney in 2015, and as a idea to draw families in our parks and get them to see what great parks we have here. And we started off really ambitious. The first year we were in every park, it seemed, every Friday, and I learned real quick I had no life in the summer. So as the years have gone, we've built up, we have anywhere from 200 to 300 volunteers between all of the organizations and businesses that help sponsor and help pull it off, because it's not just me, it's everybody, and a very diverse group of sponsorship. And this year, we're going into September, and we're going to do Dumbo and a big circus. So I'm excited about that. It's a great family thing. I just want to encourage you all to come out if you haven't been. The churches and other organizations and businesses even, they donate all of the food. So it's no excuse. Families in all walks of life can come, and it's really cool to sit out on the grass and see that kind of demographic all intermixing, getting along, and laughing at movies. So it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Appreciate the updates and the great work on it.
Thank you.
And next, I'd like to invite Jeff Michelle down from Keep Middletown Beautiful and our Earth Day activities.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good evening.
Thanks for having me. I wanted to touch base, it's been a while since I've been down here, and kind of give you an update of where we're at this year. So we partnered with the high school this year instead of doing it downtown at the city building, and the Earth Day and the Great American Cleanup and Arbor Day. I think the city manager, I think you and I had talked about this a couple years ago about perhaps moving it around the town and not just only focusing on downtown, but yet moving it throughout. I think it was a good idea. So we went and partnered with the new high school, kind of to show it off and get people to that side of town. We've gotten a really good response because of that. People want to see the new school. They want to get out to that side of town and try something new. So we tried that. The other thing we did is we focused on parks in the past, and one focus on one park, and throughout the city we cleaned up the rest of them also. Because we're so late this year, a lot of the trash is going to be picked up, so we've refocused going back into the communities. And by that I mean Smith Park is still going to be our big cleanup. We're going to paint all the electric boxes, paint all the bollards over there, paint all the street signs. remulch beds. Allison's got some nice designs for along the fence at the airport, as well as the main entrance coming in. So we're going to freshen up that park and give it a shot in the arm. We have a brand new piece of equipment over there, the play equipment. The fence around it's kind of worn, it looks old. We're going to paint that so it'll kind of make that look shiny and new. But that's all brand new over there, so we want to kind of celebrate that. So that's our main thing. I think, though, that what I want to emphasize on tonight and speaking to you is going out to the community and working in the community. So right now I have 5 groups that I'm working with. One is Larry's group, Prism Group. We'll use them for an example. There's some folks in that group that want to not only do the Old South Park, but they want to get out into the community. So what we did, working with, again, Allison here, we got the old snowplow maps out as a start. And we mapped them all out, and then that ends up being a 4 to 5, maybe 6 block area. So let's start with that. And then we further break it down into all the signs and all the sewer runoff and everything that needs to be painted in that area. And we have that all noted down. So you got a map, you've got everything noted, and the packet goes out with the leader and the folks working with them in this group. What we'll send them out with is the t-shirt for the year that they'll be picking up this week, all the paint kits, meaning a paint kit for 2 people to go out with gloves, brushes, paint, everything that you need to go down the street and come back painting it, bring the refuge back to us, any leftover paint. So that's one thing we're going to do. 2 is, as Larry knows, if you go a block or 2 off of Main Street, you're back into some neighborhoods with alleys again. Alleys collect mucho garbage with tires and everything. So having investigated that personally today and driven and seeing what's back there, there's a lot. We're going to have city dump trucks drive around that day, and we're going to clean up the garbage going down the 1 street according to the map, and at that end, we'll meet you with a dump truck to pick the debris up, because debris that sits there collects more debris. So we're going to pick them up pretty instantaneously. I believe we've got 25, 28 city folks helping that day that will be driving around, bringing supplies such as mulch to Armbruster Nature Preserve, to Bull's Run, to clean up debris around the city, and to replenish paint, water, anything that we need out in the street. So they're a big help in coordinating with this, and I think we're going to give it a go this year. We'll see how it works, but we'll chunk it out a few blocks at a time. Like I said, I got Crawford Street, I've got the Highlands Historic District's going to do it, Prism Group is going to do it. There's a group, 3R or CARE, or they're going to go down and hit a part of the city, I think around Douglas. As well as the community center, the regular parks we do, and one-offs, like if you want to clean your street up, you can go up and down the street, clean it up as well as paint any of the street signs. So this year we're going to encourage and work back into the community like we used to do, I think, several years ago. I don't want to call it a spring cleanup as such, but we would encourage that folks come out into the community and help clean up their neighborhood. And it can be your street at Manchester, it can be a one-off, it can be your block. But grab your kids, go out, and help us that day. We'll celebrate that this coming Saturday, 8 until noon at the high school. You can sign up online at Keep Middletown Beautiful, as 335 people have already done. And we're hoping to get another 50 to 100 the day of the event, okay? So if you can come out and join us, we'd be really happy that you'd help us. We will be planting a tree also at 11:30 at the high school in celebration of Arbor Day. And these are protocol things we have to do also for Arbor Day and Tree City, United States. So if there's any other questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I hope to see a few faces out there and helping us out. And let's see how it goes this year. We're going to bring back the information. We'll put it back into the computer, and anything we don't get done this year in that neighborhood, let's continue on with that same program next year if this works out well enough.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Michelle? Great. Appreciate your work on that.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay, and I've received one citizen comment card this evening. I'd like to invite Tim Lewis and Adrian Shearer down. Good evening. If we give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Tim Lewis. I live at 2810 Goldman, right here in Middletown. And got Adrian Shear with me and Jim Stiver.
Oh.
Give what their addresses too.
Oh, no, that's all.
Good enough.
We'll
All
know where to
right,
track you
great.
down.
Now, I've been here in a couple years. Believe it or not, it's year 13 for the Broad Street Bash. You want to pass that schedule cards around to them so they can kind of take a look? And just briefly, and I'll let Adrian talk to, 13 years, we've got 6 shows, again, downtown here at Governor Square on Wednesday evenings. That's what we've been having for the last couple of years. We've got a great lineup of acts. We try to have some new acts every year. The one that's probably a repeat every year, of course, is our big one on July 17th. That's the Menus. They're in town. That's our big 2-2 night. Hey, just go with the flow, right? So that's always a big time here in Middletown. But I really wanted to highlight the 2 other shows that we do. And number 1, I know Major Warwick's here, and he's our fearless leader with the Broad Street Blast, which is the July 3rd fireworks. I think this is our, what is it, Major, 5th year? 5th year fireworks. 6th year? 5th or 6th year doing the fireworks. So hats off to the city for the support. Bringing the fireworks back to Middletown, I think it's been a great success, and I know that the citizens love it. If you see the pictures from last year's show, there were, by estimates from the police department, there were over 20,000 people down there, so it's quite a crowd. The other big event that we're going to be having is, of course, the Halloween party. I think this is our 5th or 6th year doing that too, the Monster Bash in October, so we kind of advertise that as a citywide Halloween party. I know they spelled Halloween wrong, but it's okay. We're
Formerly wrong,
going to
too.
call it.
It's all right.
Oh, what wrong?
Formerly wrong.
Formerly. Oh, yes, they did. Boy, don't tell David Victor that, because he will be upset. But that's your headliner for.
Formerly of Boston. Formerly.
He's formerly the lead singer with Boston back in the early 2000s. Yeah, right after Brad Delp passed away. But they're coming from California. They do nothing but Boston and Styx songs. So all you Boston and Styx fans, come to the fireworks show on July the 3rd. Adrian, you got anything to say?
I do.
I'm shocked.
Don't give me a microphone. I really don't like to be the talker, actually. But I did bring with me tonight some gift certificates. These gift certificates are for people who are on the city council to stop over at Design to Wear and get a Broad Street Bash shirt. I really thought we might be able to just bring them to you, but they are so busy getting ready for all the kids from Madison to go to Kings Island. They've got piles of shirts like nothing I've ever seen over there. So I'm going to leave these behind and pick up your gift certificate and go get your shirt. The thing about Bash shirts is I don't wear T-shirts. I have to have a collar. It's just who I am. So I thought, some people like lady cut shirts, so gift certificate's going to work out better. We are already manufacturing tutus in our office. The tutus that are being manufactured in my office right now by volunteers and people who are there from the Mature Services Program have 2 purposes. One, I really think if we can sell another 150 of them this year, like we did last year, we will become the largest festival in Ohio with people in tutus. And, got to get your notoriety where you can get it. And secondly, we do have tutus that are already ready for the Pride Parade that's coming up in June. So many people come in and ask us to make them specific for that purpose. So those can be dual-purposed. And we have some other things up our sleeve to continue to do some smaller fundraising. 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot of things for people to donate to. But downtown is so successful, there's plenty of things to donate money to. There's plenty of ways to spend your money downtown, so we have to work harder. But we don't mind. We're just happy to be around 13 years. Whew. Unbelievable. Anybody have anything that you'd like to ask or say about the bash?
Thanks for your great work. So here's to 13 more,
Pam, do
right?
you have
So thank you.
anything you wanna
Appreciate you coming
say?
down.
You're going to let me take those for council.
See you all May the 22nd.
All right. We'll have nice, good weather for all those, right? That's the plan, right? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. And with that, I think we moved on to our consent agenda. Ms. Skank?
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the city council minutes from April 16th, 2019. To receive and file board and commission minutes from the Board of Health, March the 12th, 2019, and Middletown Visitors Bureau for March the 18th, 2019. To receive and file an oath of office for Megan Ellis. To confirm the appointment of Jordan Pergram to the position of maintenance worker in the Department of Public Works and Utilities Street Maintenance Division. To appoint Betsy Hanavan and John Langhorn to the Tax Incentive Review Committee. And 2 proclamations, the National Economic Development Week, May 6th through the 11th, 2019, and Tuberous Sclerosis Complex Awareness Day of May 15th, 2019.
Okay, thank you. Do we have approval of the issues and actions as listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
All right, that brings us to council comments. Start this evening with Mr. Mulligan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no comments.
All right, Mr. Bohannon.
Thank you, Honor. Just one thing. I just, reading in the paper this morning that quite a few police agencies made a big bust or got some drugs off the street or whatever they do yesterday. So I want to just congratulate everyone that was involved in that and help clean up the city a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Vettori.
I want to thank DMI and John Ferrando from Hot Fusion. They put together a really great first Friday this past weekend. It was packed top to bottom. So I'm extremely grateful for that organization and for all the businesses and individuals that pitch in and put so much time, people like Kara Goheen and so many more. So it was a great weekend downtown.
Great, thank you. Vice Mayor Moon.
Thank you, Mayor. Just 2 items tonight. A couple weeks ago, myself and a couple of the other members of council had the opportunity to attend the SELF Annual Awards Banquet. Just wanted to congratulate all the award winners and honorees. SELF does an amazing job for the entire county. And if you're not familiar with the work they do, I would encourage you to get up to speed on all the services they offer, because they really are helping a lot of great people in this community. The other thing I wanted to mention was just the NAACP annual banquet. I believe it was 3 weeks ago. And on the same note, I want to extend my congratulations to the scholarship winners and the award winners. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. I'll reiterate those comments in NAACP. It was good to see the scholarship winners and the kids they recognized for the art work and things. Just impressive, and a good dinner out at Central Connections. I would like to mention that Mr. Atkins, Mary Huttinger, and I were on Miami Valley Voices, a radio show on WHIO a couple Sundays ago, and appreciate Shelby's work on getting that organized. It was good to talk about some of the great things going on in downtown and around town, and it was great to do that, and that'll be archived and out there for replay. I haven't listened to it yet. I always like myself better live than recorded. I do also want to congratulate Mr. Vittori mentioned the great First Friday. Pendleton Arts Center celebrated 8 years, and it was great to recognize Jim Verdon with a bell of all things, since it was a Verdon Bell Company, his family company. But it was great to see that attended. That was really a big step forward for the city when that came together, and glad to see it's doing well there with different artists and doing so well. And then the MAC hosted the Arts Center, Middletown Arts Center, hosted the Rotary's Painted Boxes exhibit, where we have 3 winners that Rotary sponsored with to paint some utility boxes in the downtown area and around town here. So looking forward to seeing that brighten up the city as well. And I think the samples are on display in the lobby if I saw that coming through the winter. So that was very exciting to see. And then we had a number of ribbon cuttings this month, pretty busy with different things, but Swire Inn celebrated theirs, as well as Bell Bridal, and Kingsville has one coming up this week. Those are certainly great to see going on downtown, and shows a thriving business community and great things happening, even though I think all those were operating, which they're finally getting around to the ribbon cutting, so it's exciting to see that. And last, I'll mention attended the Cincinnati State Advisory meeting this past week, and it's coming up on their summer season for enrollment, so folks that might be looking for a certificate program or educational opportunities, people tend to forget about the great resource we have in Cincinnati State sometimes. We've had Miami here for so long, but Cincinnati State's been here 5 or 6 years, I think, and doing well, but could certainly want to promote their availability of their programs, and certainly good to see that and have that access here in Middletown. And with that, I believe we can move to our legislation this evening. Ms. Cohen?
Thank you, sir. There are 2 matters we're asking to consider as emergency this evening. As prior to getting started, ask for a motion to waive charter requirements regarding ordinance O 2019-23 and ordinance O 2019-24, waive two readings and immediate enactment.
I move to waive the charter provision requiring readings on two separate days and to declare the previously read ordinances an emergency measure and read one time only.
Second. Okay, Ms. Gank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes?
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Thank you. The first matter is ordinance O 2019-23, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Cincinnati Bell for public Wi-Fi service in the downtown designated outdoor refreshment area and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second. Okay, I know we had presentations on this before at work sessions. Anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
Nothing, Your Honor. The 39,737 that's before you tonight contains a one-time setup fee and then 6 months of service. The remainder we will incorporate into the 2020 budget.
And we will see the final contract as we emailed about. This just authorizes the,
You are authorizing me to get in the contract, so I do not believe the contract in its final form would come back to you. Correct?
will we be able to see that before you enter into it, even if it's not formally?
Typically, no. But if you want to wait, I can. The only problem is the longer we wait, the longer it takes to get all this going.
Sure, I'm just wondering when we'll see the details of, all the things that'll be in there, because those are the important items.
Is that a policy question? The answer is we'll do whatever majority council would like us to do.
I'm in favor of moving forward, I just was wondering about the contract.
So
This would authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Cincinnati Bell. So typically, we would get a copy of the contract, review it for the terms that we believe to be agreed, and the legislation would authorize him to enter into that contract.
and this doesn't vary significantly from the proposal they kind of presented to us before, right?
Correct.
Isn't that-
What's before you, the cost and all that is from the proposal, which is
Okay.
about a page long and gives the details of how many nodules and things like that, and the coverage that's expected. Doesn't get into all of the legal stuff that Susan and I would go through and negotiate.
Does that give you enough comfort, Mr. Moon?
Sure.
Okay. Are any other questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Gank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
No.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Okay, all right.
Next matter is ordinance O 2019-24, an ordinance authorizing an addendum to the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Fraternal Order of Police Ohio Labor Council. This is for dispatchers for the year January 1, 2017 through December 31st, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, we were going to go to fact-finding on this on April 16th. We sat down with the fact finder and negotiated a resolution. This was a one-year wage reopener for the third year of the contract. We are keeping them at 2%, which is consistent with everybody in the organization. They did a signing bonus and a increase in their uniform allowance as part of those negotiations.
Any questions or comments from council? All right, Ms. Gank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Number 3 is Resolution R 2019-17, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, state of Ohio for the period ending December 31st, 2019, and declaring an emergency. This is out of the general fund. No action is requested until the 21st.
Okay, Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, during the recession, the city cut back on many of their services, but the recreation program was completely eliminated at that time. City Council, during one of the workshops, I believe, expressed an interest in having a summer recreation program this year. We had just a couple months to put things together. We are working on a modest program that will include the Community Building Institute and YMCA, basically expanding things that they were going to offer at certain locations and expanding the number of locations and places that they could do the programs they have. We also talked about the potential Chick-fil-A camp at Baraka, which would be in July. I will vet that out. And again, during the second reading, I may add a $5,000 to that and make it $35,000 if we believe that the Chick-fil-A camp also fits into our needs.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We're not not taking action on that tonight, right?
That's right.
That's- Yeah,
Yes,
2 weeks,
correct.
okay. Wanna make sure- okay.
Next matter is ordinance O 2019-29, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Hamco X-Ray Incorporated for the purchase of an X-ray scanner for the municipal court. It's the first reading.
Yes, Your Honor, the Middletown Municipal Court has secured a Supreme Court of Ohio technology grant for security, which includes a single capital purchase of an X-ray scanner in the amount of $34,625. The judge and Steve Longworth are here if you do have any questions, although they always have the ability to do about anything they want to under Ohio law. To keep the audit clean and everything on art, it helps if we do a supplemental appropriation, add it to the budget. This will be a pass-through. You'll supplement the money, they'll spend the grant and buy the X-ray scanner. Judge is available if there are any questions.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you.
Next matter is number 5, Resolution R 2019-18, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, state of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2019. This is also in the general fund, here for a first reading.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, the Division of Fire was awarded a firefighter exposure to environmental elements grant from the Ohio Bureau of Workmen's Compensation Safety Intervention Grant Program for the purchase and installation of a 40-pound capacity washer extractor at fire headquarters and 45 firefighter hoods. The appropriation will be $14,932.08. Local share for the grant will be covered by funds already appropriated in the budget, and you'll need a supplemental appropriation to allow us to go ahead and utilize that grant.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Last matter is Resolution R 2019-19, a resolution authorizing an agreement granting tax abatement to MLH Developers LLC for redevelopment of 1044 Central Avenue in the downtown Middletown Community Reinvestment Area. Also a first reading.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, MLH Developers wishes to renovate and update the property located at 1044 Central Avenue, which I believe used to be Miss Selby Soaps. The project would include $445,000 in investment, including $95,000 in acquisition and $350,000 in renovation. Once finished, the property will have 2 residential units and 2 commercial retail spaces. The developer is requesting a 100% 12-year tax abatement of the property. A CRA abatement would help offset the capital outlay that's being made. The city would be required under this agreement to pay the Middletown City School District 25% of what the district would have received had the tax abatement not been in place as part of our school compensation agreement passed back in 2015.
Okay, any questions or comments from council? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our legislation. The last time I have for our agenda is an executive session, so I need a motion on the authority of Ohio Revised Code 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property, competitive bidding, if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair, competitive, or bargaining advantage.
So moved.
Second? Okay, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes?
Mr. Moon?
Yes?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
All right, following our executive session, we'll be in, we'll move for recess, and we'll be back in session at 5 p.m. on May 21st, 2019. Thank you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.